You know, over the years, I've seen tons of people hyping up Hollow Knight, talking about how it's one of the best indie games of all time. I never managed to get around to playing it myself, but I was well aware of how much other people adored the game. So when Silksong launched last Thursday, I thought to myself, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. And now I get it. I finally understand the hype. From what I've played thus far, this game seems phenomenal. If you're even remotely interested in 2D action combat Metroidvania likes, yeah, Silksong is really good. So just finished up my first play session with Silksong here, and I gotta say, like, holy crap. Honestly, I'm impressed, and I'm not the only one either. On launch day, the game reached a whopping 534,000 concurrent players. That number has already been surpassed on day 2, and I would say that there's a real strong possibility it gets surpassed once again over this weekend. A lot of people are playing, and most of them seem to also really dig it. As of this recording, it has nearly 20,000 user reviews and a 95% overwhelmingly positive score. In fact, the game was so popular, it literally broke online stores during the first few hours of release. I spent over an hour myself just trying to purchase the game, but I wasn't able to. Like, Steam kept having an error every time I tried to check I'm just like, let me in. I literally just want to buy and play this game, but they weren't letting me give them my money. And from what I understand, it's because there was so much demand, so many people wanting to buy the game simultaneously because they didn't have any sort of pre-release option to purchase it, that it just completely overwhelmed the Steam servers. And apparently it wasn't just Steam. People reported similar issues on the storefronts of other platforms as well, which just like crazy, dude. Think about it. Your game is so popular, you're breaking stores because of the demand. So I've played about 10 hours thus far of Silksong. I have not beat the game yet. In fact, I don't even know if I'm halfway through, but I did want to share some of my initial thoughts, like the things that have stood out to me the most up until this point. Before we get into that though, here is a brief word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Ragnarok M Classic. This is a new MMORPG for mobile, if you can't get enough of the genre and are looking for some more on the go. Now, as the name implies, this is set in the Ragnarok Online universe, where you'll be immersing yourself in the world of Midgard, navigating busy towns, exploring secluded forest, and diving into mysterious dungeons, all in search of loot. The developer says that they've aimed for this to be a mobile MMO without all the junk. So there are no in-game shops, no pay to win, and one single currency, which is Zenny, and it's the only in-game currency. You'll use it or earn it by engaging with the player marketplace. The game brings back the 6 original classes from Ragnarok Online, each with their own skill tree and progression. There are, of course, social elements, as with the original. This is a community-driven game. Plenty of content where you'll be teaming up with other players, with instant dungeons and various boss encounters. If you're interested in checking out Ragnarok M Classic for yourself, use the link in the video description below. The game is currently available for PC, iOS, and Android. Okay, what I've liked about Silksong so far. Here we go. For starters, the atmosphere of this game is just through the roof. Like, they do such a great job of world building and creating a space that feels authentic and interesting. From the background music that is played in each of the game's zones, to the soundscapes and the environmental noises behind all of that. Both of these things, combined with the game's visuals, really create this sense of place and personality to even just the zones, the play space that you're going through itself. And speaking of the visuals, I've really found the art style and presentation very appealing. Most of the characters and enemies of this game have a simplistic, but nevertheless very distinct look to them. Like, nothing comes across as generic to me. They've really got a clear sense of style when creating this world and the characters within it. Similarly, the environments themselves all have a real distinct look, with each of the zones that I've explored so far having their own unique look, color palette, and atmosphere that gets created with all of those things combined. Furthermore, the game's characters themselves ooze with personality. The main character you play as, Hornet, is a warrior on a mission to find out why she was captured and brought to these lands of Farloom. In the process, you encounter many different NPCs, all with their own very distinct and at times funny as as hell personalities, but I'm not even talking about like the text that's on screen when you're talking to them. It's more the noises the characters make and their mannerisms in whatever made-up language that the game uses, which sounds an awfully lot like French to me at times, but whatever it is they're saying, like the noises and the way the characters act and again their mannerisms, it's all super endearing, very, very endearing. There's this little girl who's singing a song and ringing a bell at a locked gate. Or how the blacksmith is constantly laughing at all of her apprentices' jokes. Or the mighty warrior who salutes you in a showcase of admiration every time you leave the area that she's in. And those are just a few examples. Like literally almost every character that I've come across has had something similarly endearing or interesting about them and the personality that they give off. Not from the text of anything that they say. I could literally read none of it, but just seeing how the characters act and listening to the noises that they make and the animations. Again, endearing is the word that I would use. Yeah, just like with the world building and the soundscapes, the characters in this game ooze with their own personality. In fact, even like the fast travel system. So if you unlock a fast travel after you beat this one boss, it kind of looks like a bony dinosaur, but it also purrs like a cat and acts like a dog. So you walk up, you basically travel through these tunnels of bells. And this creature, after you beat him when he was a boss, you beat him and then he becomes your fast travel. You summon him up and he pops up through the ground and then he sits there like purring, super eagerly wanting you to get on his back to go somewhere. He starts like pounding his feet and like, let's go. You know, like a super excited dog who's really wanting you to take him outside to play or something. Again, endearing, top to bottom. So much about this game. I really, really appreciate it. Now, as for the storytelling itself, the game does have a narrative and there is a main story quest line, but the way that it's showcased to you is done very minimally. Essentially, you have this opening cutscene where your character is being carried in a cage by your captors, and then you break free, and one of the first NPCs that you talk with, you tell them that you're on a mission to find out who brought you here and to get justice on them. And that's basically like the most direct explanation of what your story and what your mission is that you get while playing this game. It's just shown to you essentially. Now there are interactions with various NPCs and even a system of side quest called wishes, but for the most part the game does not rely heavily on like spelling out the story for you in text form. It is much more done so in what is my preferred method. They show rather than tell. They have you experience rather than explain it to you. They also make regular use of the like Souls style method of cryptic descriptions and explanations of things, and you have to then intuit their meaning or their function when it comes to items and tools that you find. But very rarely does the game like directly describe what this thing does. It gives you a really vague, again, kind of cryptic description, and you just have to kind of figure out what that means. A lot of times when you purchase the items, they will be a little more descriptive though. Now that is all just like the world building and the narrative side of things, but there's a whole nother side of this game that's been very appealing, and that is the actual gameplay. This has been similarly well done. Combat feels snappy, responsive, and is quite clearly skill-based. I can already tell this is going to be one of those games that could have a strong speedrunning community. Like you can play through kind of like you're seeing my gameplay here, slowly taking your time, plodding along. It might not look like much, but I have no doubt that there are going to be super skilled players blazing through these levels, hitting enemies in the perfect combination to eliminate them as fast as possible, but also while using that to traverse forward, like pogoing off of enemies to reach higher platforms and skip certain areas and all of that. Now, your combat capabilities, they start out rather limited, like for the first couple of hours even. Essentially, all you have is a basic attack that you can aim in a few directions, plus the ability to drop attack that has you bouncing off enemies, otherwise otherwise known as pogoing. And that's it. Like, you don't even have a sprint or a dash. It took me like a couple hours before I unlocked the dash/sprint ability. But even this most initial simple form of combat, there's clearly plenty of room for skill expression. First of all, you cannot at any point have your character's body hit the body of an enemy because you take damage. Now, I do believe eventually you get the ability to dash through enemies with like a shadow cloak or something. At least that's how it worked in the first game. You had a special ability where your dash could go through enemies without you getting hit, but not at the start and not in the first 10 hours that I've played so far. So even basic enemies can kill you if you get hit by just a few of their attacks and or walk into them one too many times. Now, like most other Metroidvanias, the game works in a way where you'll be finding and then purchasing new abilities, attacks, movement skills, etc., all of which open up more options for while engaging in combat. But again, even the most basic form, there's clearly a lot of skill to be had here. It's all about your positioning, making sure that your attack animations are the only thing that hit the enemies and your character's body never does. Loads of boss encounters as well. I think the original game had something like over 40 of these. Seems like there will be a similarly large number here from what I've seen so far. The first few were simple but challenging. At the same time, though, they didn't feel cheap. As I've gone further, the fights have been getting more difficult for sure. But again, I think especially with how well they do animations and the game's art styles, you can easily like learn these fights while you're in them. There's not, I've never been like confused why I got hit. Things are pretty clearly telegraphed. It's just a matter of learning when the boss is in this position or they move their arms or their weapon here or here, this is the attack that's about to happen. It's all very clearly telegraphed. It's just the harder fights, there's more of these. They're happening more quickly. They require faster reaction time and things like that. And I'm sure it's just going to keep getting harder because again, I'm only 10 hours in. I've really liked the world design so far. It is a full-on 2D platformer, Metroidvania-like, and what that means is you're going to be fairly regularly coming across obstacles, locked doors, ledges you can't reach, things that can't be interacted with until a later point when you eventually acquire some new tool or ability that then lets you return to whatever that impassable area was, now having access. You'll also be having to look for keys to access certain areas and open up shortcuts. The world is broken up into several distinct regions. Each of them have their own name and, as mentioned before, a very distinct visual styling. And most of these are connected at multiple points to the adjacent zone. So you're going to have a zone that initially maybe you go from west to east, and that's how you first access the zone that is to the east. But then eventually you'll find out like there's like 3 or 4 other connecting areas, and then below them you'll be connected to a zone, and then that zone to your east will also be connected to the zone below you, and all of them eventually end up kind of weaving and winding into each other as you continue to progress through the game. And there is an in-game map, but I think that they've also created the space in a way that you can really just get a sense for your location as you play by navigating the space. Also, just a lot of nice little attention to details, which I guess should come as no surprise given how well they've done like character and world building and stuff. You've got things like the main currency that you collect for purchasing items from NPCs are rosaries, and these are like actual beads. You know, they're physical rosary beads, and oftentimes they come like on a string or something. So you attack the string and the individual beads fall off and you have to collect them. Like they will roll across the ground, like physics-based. They will take the momentum of how you got hit, how you hit them, and they'll bounce off and they'll roll on the ground and you got to pick them up. It's like as if like in Diablo, every time you open up a gold chest and the gold popped out, if you have to go pick up all the coins, but it's not as tedious as that sounds. It's actually, again, just a nice little attention to detail. In fact, there's an item that you can get which just kind of magnifies and sucks them all up as well. Or just even the fact that you can break most of the objects in the environment. Many times no gameplay relevance here, but it just helps the world feel more real. Or when you're sitting on a bench, which these act as your rest and save point, your character kind of just like fidgets around and starts looking around the environment if you don't move, interact and have them move immediately. So many nice little details and real close attention to this stuff. It's great. And then also the performance, it's been flawless. Like I don't think I've had a single frame drop in all of the time that I've played. This game runs exceptionally well. And I also gotta say, like, something about this game, they fostered what seems like a fantastic community as well. Most game subreddits seem to be a cesspool of pretty much nothing but negativity. Even when they first come out, and you would expect like people were looking forward to this game, and if the game's good, they're excited and they're enjoying it. But man, something about the Hollow Knight community, it seems like it's just a gem. Like people are just genuinely very positive, and they're just like, look at this stuff, dude. Everything is so expensive in Farloom. The true enemy of Silksong is capitalism. $70 for a Stag Station equivalent? Are you pulling my needle? This is talking about, I think this is talking about the fast travel things. Like, in order to get the fast travel, you have to spend 70 of those rosary beads to unlock it. Or right here, I try to sit down and they bill me just to use the bench. Yes, there are some benches that cost rosaries in order for you to unlock them, and then they act as your save point. And everyone here is a broke-ass bum. Most of these guys aren't sentient enough to carry cash on them, so I have to grind up their credit cards into bone shards, which nobody wants. So a lot of the enemies, there's some enemies that drop the rosary currency, but then there's another currency, which are these shards, which I haven't even figured out what you use them for in the game. There's been like a few quests where I can turn them in, but for the most part, you need the rosary beads, and most of the NPCs in the game don't drop the rosary beads. But what I'm talking about here is I feel like on most games, subreddits, if they thought that it was hard to get items, it would just be a thread that was 40 paragraphs long complaining about how the economy is broken. But here in the Hollow Knight community, like, we get this hilarious post instead, like, memeing about it. I absolutely love it, dude. Day 1 of no Hollow Knight 3 news. Yes, it's true, because it took Silksong 20 years to come out, and so people are already waiting on Hollow Knight 3, and it's unbelievable that they haven't announced anything about it yet. Tip: do not fall in this game. So this, I'm pretty sure now I know what this is gonna be. This is gonna show you like how crazy the levels are interwoven. So I don't know, it might have taken this person like a couple hours to climb up to that point, and then they fall down and they go transition through zone, transition through zone, transition through zone. This is where you start the game. You have to go like across, up and over, and then there's a few paths, and you got a couple boss fights in between, and then you get to this point and you drop down, and here you are. You started the game over again. Yeah, that's funny. I don't know. Again, there's just something about this community that seems like really positive and not like unwilling to have criticisms of the game. I'm sure there'll be plenty of things where people dissect it, but I guess it's just refreshing to have a community that isn't just, even on launch day, like, we got this game that people are playing and enjoying. Even on launch day, people are still like, oh, I don't really like this, and this is a huge problem, and my life is ruined of this. Just, I get it too. Like, I critique games, I raise my concerns with issues and things that need improvement all the time. I guess I've grown so numb to like most communities, even on like when we should presumably be the most excited about this new game coming out and we're playing it and we're having a good time. They can't even make it a day without the complaining starting. So, and even if I'm part of that problem of someone who is raising concerns and issues with games on the day they've come out, I've just found going to this subreddit and like the community of this game to be just, again, refreshing is the word. So yeah, I didn't play the original Hollow Knight. I'd always heard that it was a good game, but never managed to check it out myself. I am so glad that I jumped in to check out Silksong, because now I get it. Now I totally get it. And this makes me want to go back and play the original Hollow Knight as well at some point when I'm done Silksong. But yeah, this has been great. Having a really good time. Looking forward to playing some more. I'd like to complete it. I don't know. I think the first game was like 20 to 40 hours on your first playthrough, and then it could get successfully way less. Like, people can beat it in just a few hours. Again, the speedrunning side of things. But yeah, I'll play through this the rest of the week and hopefully get it finished. But what I've seen so far, I'm, again, really, really impressed. Great game. Hats off to the developer. Congratulations. You've built something special. Pretty clear here to me now. That's it for today. Thanks, guys, for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know below what you think. Are you a fan of the original Hollow Knight? How have you been liking Silksong if you've played it? Love to hear your thoughts below, but that's all for me now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.